Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot divination for Monday, the 20th day of June 2022. Well, let's see. We have a little bit of synchronicity there with the 20 and the 20 part of the 2022. All about balance, really. When you reduce 20 to 2, it's about balance, reciprocity, decisions, love, healing, offering, and all of that. But we'll go over that here when we talk about the esoteric influences for today. If this is your first time here, welcome. I hope you'll click subscribe and come back. And for everyone who's here, who have been here before, thank you so much for coming back and spending this time with me. And talking a little bit about runes and tarot and how they can influence the decisions we make or how we see things, and maybe giving us some ideas we never thought of before. That's what I like about it mostly. But anyhow, the esoteric influences and all the other posts, the ascendant rays, nodes, and aspects influencing this week, the weekly numerology, let's see, the daily correspondences, if you work magic, they're also up. Also, the version for Patreon is up over there. On Patreon, links are below the video. If you click on show more and scroll down past the explanation of what I'm doing here, then you'll see some links and all of that. You can, if you don't remember, that website address for Stepping Aside is imsteppingaside.com. And again, that's below the video if you forget. Let's see, the posts went up for Medium. That I do 2 over there. Those are up as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at Monday's esoteric influences. Again, I just said that 20 reduces to 2. And so we've already talked about the numerology. The rune for today from the esoteric influences, though, is Vunyo. It looks like the letter P. It means joy, fellowship. It's known as the wish rune. Peace, success, harmony, and happiness are among the keywords for Vunyo. The Geomancy rune for today from the esoteric influences, Puella or Puea, which is young girl, scattered focus. It's superficial. It can be ambivalent. It's a positive rune, though. It portends good fortune. But she's fortunate, but not too fortunate. Is the interpretation there, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. The sun's in Gemini, the moon's in Pisces until it shifts into Aries at 8:37 p.m. We're also in third quarter moon right now, or begins today, I guess. The planetary governance for work and magic is the moon, and let's take a look at what the influences are then. A new strategy or vision may be necessary to stay in the flow of higher awareness today. Reality may not be quite to your liking during this period, and you may also see your experiences in an unrealistic or superficial manner. Retreat to a more quiet space if you're feeling overwhelmed at all to regain your balance and inner harmony. Direct action may be necessary, however, should you encounter opposition or deception from someone who comes across as phony or without integrity. That person may be given to hyperbole or manipulation, so make every attempt to understand his or her motives before responding. Sometimes you got to look within or beneath the surface to see, where are they really coming from here? If something doesn't feel right today, there's something else going on. And if it involves someone else, then you got to figure out, well, what is this with them today? So you can truly understand, maybe you don't respond at all, right? Maybe you just kind of observe the person and just kind of go, without really engaging completely, because you don't want to be led down someone else's garden path. I mean, that happens all the time, doesn't it? Where people try to lead people to where they need them to go instead of where they actually need to go. There's always this agenda with some people, and you got to be careful. If it's not something that's for the collective, to protect the collective, basically. If it's simply just about their own desires and needs and personal goals, well, maybe it doesn't serve. Maybe there's service to self people and not service to others. So anyway, today's rune for the reading, though, to start us out, is Birkenau. Now, Birkenau is the birch tree. It represents the mother principle, It's protection, it's healing, it's family, it's bringing something to fruition. So, I mean, although it can mean the pregnancy, it's really more about the birth, birthing a new idea. It can, if it's not about a baby, it can be a new idea or a new project or a new endeavor. Bringing something to fruition also can mean it can mean the planning phase for all of that. And then now you're ready to embark. You've made your plans and now you're ready to embark on something new. Or again, if you've been working on a project, maybe it's coming to its conclusion. So lots of things. You've got, you can see Vunyo in the top part if you cover this part here. In fact, I'll just draw it out. That'd be easier, I think. I like to look at the runes that comprise these runes. So here we have Birkenau, looks like a bee. We have Isa. That line there is Isa. We have Laguz, or flow. We have Vunyo. Oops. Which again is joy and fellowship. Let's see, we have Rado, which is journey, rider and horse, integrated motion. We also have Kenaz, forward twice and reversed once, which is the light of spirit, or the torch, informing our path. And so it's really it's a really a higher self kind of rune, really. Get that out of the way. That's the as above side of the reading today, of the two significators. We do the runes I use as significators for the reading. And what that means is it's just kind of the focus of the reading. And then sometimes, the cards will come in and blow that all out of the water. So let's see what the Geomancy runes are for today. Oh, well, that's interesting. It's Puella, or Puea, which aligns then with the Geomancy rune from the reading today, from the esoteric influences, rather. And that's what it looks like. The single dots are active principles. The dual dot is a passive principle, and so that's why it's in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. And so that's why you might see with Puella scattered focus or superficiality or ambivalence, because there's a passive influence. It's not so much of a strong active influence. But all that said, I think if you combine the two, you've got to heal that focus. You've got to get your focus in Birkenau is a very service to others type of experience. And again, I think that it aligns with today's esoteric influences, especially the part about if you're encountering deception. Now, that part is from the human design chart for the day, and that second paragraph. And basically it's just telling us that there needs to be some kind of awareness that's a little bit higher than simply what you are reacting to, So the above side comes in, and Birkenau, of course, is about healing and protection and family and again, coming together in some kind of unity of experience instead of something that is scattered and maybe something that's not quite as committed to the whole process. So just be aware of that. You've got two, in a sense, they're not opposing, but in a sense they kind of are, things working for you. And so, if you look at Birkenau in terms of healing, then you're going to heal all of that, the more egoic side of things today. Let's take a look at, this is going to be an interesting reading. We have a 4 numerology for it. That makes it easy. But we have the Queen of Cups, the Page of Cups, and the Emperor. So we've got Cups, which is the water element or emotions, change, momentum, empathy, compassion, understanding. And then you've got the Emperor, who may or may not fall in line with that. That's going to be more fire element, more Aries energy. And so, but at the same time, how we express authority in our lives is one of the things, given that this is a soul archetype card, being a major arcana card. You're really talking about how we express authority in our lives while we're here in form. But what we're looking at, though, with the other two, let's see. Oh, I see what the problem is. Okay. My mouse is not working. It's because I had it upside down. The Apple one, you have to have this guy down here. Otherwise, if you try to do it this way, it's not going to go anywhere. And I don't know why. But anyway, I mean, it ought to just move somewhere. Maybe not where you want it to move, but it just doesn't go anywhere at all. It's weird. But we might need to take another card here, maybe two, because of the fact that we've got two court cards and a major card. So, but anyway, we're talking about strong personalities here with the Queen and also the Page. Not so much strong, but confident, but again, intuitive. It can mean the birth of a child, so it's going to align very well with Birkenau. So will the Queen of Cups. And I don't know yet where Puella's going to align. Maybe with the Page. I don't think any of this necessarily, unless we're talking about protection, is going to align very well with the Emperor. So maybe that's why we need to take another card. But the Queen of Cups, we had her last week. We see a queen sitting on her throne. We see cherubs on the throne. Aren't they cute? We see this beautiful chalice that she's holding. And you can see her cape. It almost looks like it's made of river rock or beach rock, where the edges are rounded and all of that. And it almost looks like it merges into the rocks below on this little sandy piece of ground that she's sitting on. But she's reflective. She's an observer. She's loving. She's empathic. She's patient. She's a healer. Again, now this is where Puella might actually align with the Queen, because with the scattered focus, she may meddle a little bit. There's a level of passive aggression with the Cups, particularly with the Queen and the King, more so with the King though. But she may have trouble setting boundaries because of that lack of focus. She may also be only so trustworthy. And that's because of the passive-aggressive aspect here that's contained within this. I think that when you have moodiness associated with the water element, you can have... you can only trust the person so much because their emotions are governing their experience and their perceptions and their reactions. And so maybe they're not, here you have two cards of emotion and one card really of the will. And to try to to read that's going to be fun. But it has to do with, given that it's the 4 with the Emperor, you're talking about foundation and structure. But anyway, let's go to the Page. Here we have the Page of Cups. Now, in some decks, it's going to be the Princess, but the Pages are students. They're news bearers. They're the undeveloped potential of the court, similar to the undeveloped potential of the Fool in the Major Arcana, and also the undeveloped potential of the Aces in all suits. There's a sort of similarity of experience there, or of energy. Now you see the water in the background's kind of wavy. Not too choppy, but wavy. So there's an up and down here about this in terms of emotions. But you're talking about confidence and discretion and imagination and a young person, intuitive, the birth of a child, maybe the unexpected, the unexpected of the fish coming out of the chalice there. But there's a sense of newness and undeveloped potential in terms of emotion and in terms of that emotional resonance or perspective. So together, it's basically a passive principle. If we were looking at Pur, for example, and we turned Puella upside down, we'd have Pur, which is a little boy. But you have a lack of impulse control, and you see down here, this is the water line, and that's, you see two dots, that means passive. That's why there's a lack of impulse control there. So I think that you're either looking at some change here, which could also be with the water element, the shaping of new experiences, the shaping of new emotions. But then you come to the emperor, who is a very, very pragmatic. So here you see the ram's heads on all four corners. That's the Aries influence. You see what looks like mountains, or some kind of mountainous structure of some kind. Maybe they've done a wall behind him or something that looks like it, but that's what it looks like to me. He's still in battle attire, but he's got a robe covering it, but you can see his boots down here. He doesn't look you exactly in the eye. He's very stern looking though, but it looks to me like his vision is just a little bit skewed, a little bit there to his right, to our left. He holds a golden orb in his left hand and a golden scepter in his right. But here you're looking at masculine energy, the father principle, or the father aspect: stability, authority, order, ambition, discipline, pragmatism, structure, masculine energy. Maybe I already said that. Also reason, although reason is a little more air than it is fire. But we have the fire element here. There's also an issue of balance here between light and dark. You can tell with these, light and dark. So it could be that your inner authority today, or how you express yourself to others, is being influenced by your emotions, is being influenced by maybe something that isn't quite as stable as you need it to be, or you need to have a little more understanding when you're expressing your authority, a little more compassion. And given that there are two cards from the Suit of Cups and the water element, I have to think that it's more like that. With Birkenau, you're wanting to have compassion and understanding, the mother principle, if you will. And so you almost have a blend between the mother and the father within here. The compassion that the mother may have. It's not that fathers can't be compassionate, they can. But the compassion, the love, the empathy, the understanding, the assistance, that maybe the emperor is just a little too stuck in his own place, a little too pragmatic, can't really let go of the authority that he has, to sort of relax it a little bit. So maybe what we're talking about here is that you may be experiencing today some issues with authority that you might want to consider how you express that. And are you doing it with compassion and empathy and understanding for the plight of others, or are you stuck in your own pragmatic sense and maybe just a little bit too rigid? But let's do one more card. Again, I think that Puella, even though, I was a Puella growing up, I was here, there, and everywhere. I mean, I had very strong focus, especially if I was reading, but you couldn't get me away from the book. You'd have to come and shake me to make me hear you if you were talking to me. But I was very curious, and I wanted to know everything about everything, and that would be an example of Puella, where my focus is not sticking with something long enough, because something about that then makes me think about something else, and so now I want to go look at that, and then that makes me think about something else, and I want to go look at that. So by the time I'm done, I've learned a whole lot, but it appears like I'm not very focused on one thing. But I can't stay focused on one thing. I have to know a lot of things, right? So that's Puella. Let's take one more card. Whenever I take another card, I take the 13th one. Well, here we have the seven of swords. Swords is the air element. Here we see deception, or we also see leveling the playing field. We also see theft of intellectual property. But anyway, you have the men over here, the king's men over here, either discussing what was going on in the battle or they're grouping together to do the battle, one of the two. Here you have the tents where they're all set up. That's what they do. They would go and they would set up and then they would attack, right? So either they're coming back from it or they're getting ready to go. But this guy is obviously infiltrated. This is how I used to just see it as theft of intellectual property, but with this being the intellectual property, the battle plans. And in a sense, that's what he's doing. But think about it this way. The king is all powerful, and the town may not be. And so they might be just an easy mark. It might be very simple to go in and take over. But of course, it's not going to go well for anyone in the town, right? But if they know what their strategies are, if they know what their battle plans are ahead of time, then maybe they can level the playing field, in other words. 7 is about balance. It's also about observation. That aligns well with the Queen of Cups and her tendency to observe and reflect. And there's reflection here as well, because you're going to be reflecting on your own circumstances and trying to figure out, okay, what's going on. And see, now this is also related to today's esoteric influences. If you encounter opposition or deception from someone who comes across as phony or without integrity, they may be manipulative. So you've got to figure out what's going on, right? So it's going to take some observation. So the observation part of this, the trying to understand the other side, you could look at it that way, as the guy is stealing the swords and running off with them. But if we put that between the 2 cups cards and the Emperor, then understanding the bigger picture might help you, lead you toward compassion and empathy in terms of your expression of authority. So I think that that's probably the simplest way to look at this. Now, 7 and 4 or 11, that's the master number for awakening and enlightenment. And so perhaps your expression of authority is just a little too rigid right now for some reason, and you need to understand the bigger picture, and that way you can then react with compassion and empathy to whoever you're dealing with. Again, especially if with Birkenau, if healing is involved of some kind. So, if you look at Puella and Focus, well, they took their eye off the ball, didn't they? So maybe that can be an element in how you manifest all this today, where especially if you're dealing with someone who's being deceptive. Sometimes what they're not telling you, sometimes they tell you too much. If you stay quiet, people chat all over the place. It makes them uncomfortable. And so they start doing this, right? Well, if you keep your mouth shut, maybe you'll learn a whole lot more than if you're, inserting yourself into the conversation. It drives people crazy when they'll email me or whatever, and I'm just kind of looking at what they say and I don't respond. Maybe we've had a little short conversation going on, but I don't respond because I've seen all I need to see, right? Well, that makes people nervous, which is fine, because maybe they're pulling something, right? Maybe they're trying to manipulate. It's like, well, if you're going to do that, then I'm not going to respond to you. I'm going to listen. I'm going to find out, but maybe I'm going to keep my response to myself until the moment when it's the best time to say something. And maybe immediately after someone says something to me, maybe that's not the right time, right? Maybe you just need to stand there and look at them for a while. Do a little more observation, right? To see what their true intention is. Because I'm telling you, it's going to come to the surface either way. You're going to find out either way. So I have a feeling that there may be, either this is something that's happening with somebody else and you're having to kind of stand your ground a little bit here, but how you do that, is got to be based on a better overall awareness of what's really going on with that person. And then you can offer compassion or support or understanding or empathy. Um, Instead of being drawn into whatever the dynamic is that they're offering here. Maybe they're trying to manipulate you into something else, into believing something else, when it realistically, they're really telling you the truth, about something by either what they're not saying or what have you. But if somebody's trying to manipulate you, maybe you need to get to the bottom of why are they doing that? Why do they feel the need to do that? Are they having trust issues? Maybe. Can you help them heal those? Maybe they don't feel safe in that conversation or in that experience. Who knows? Looking beyond to see with the Seven of Swords, it's kind of a well, weird way to view the Seven of Swords, but in view of the other three cards, it seems to be what's resonating for me right now. So I don't know. It's a Monday. But I think with Birkenau, there's such a strong healing aspect to that, and then maybe bringing something to fruition could also mean understanding the bigger picture of something. So you get you try to get as many facts as you can, as many swords as you can, so that you can understand what's really happening. And then you can exercise your own inner authority and your own, your own guidance maybe. Maybe that's what they're looking for. It's just the guidance has got to be based on compassion and understanding. Understanding more than what they're telling you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, something to think about should you encounter something like that. So anyway, thanks for watching. We still have one last planting to do, and then that's it. Other than what I'm going to do with my basil, I have no idea what I'm going to do with my basil for sure. I've ordered some Tulsi from Mountain Rose Herbs, and just in case my Tulsi is bust this year, I don't know. I'm going to try. I also, they have some seeds. I have some other seeds from another place, but I ordered a pack of seeds from them too, and we'll see. Maybe their seeds, I'll have more success with theirs, but I hate it when my Tulsi doesn't grow. It just, usually I can get a nice big pot of Tulsi and I harvest all season long, and I have enough for the winter, and I have some left over, but at this juncture I'm looking at it and going, oh Lord. So I may have to grow it in the house, which is fine. I can do that, but it's been a weird summer so far. We've not had the heat. We're going to have heat this next week. It's going to be in the 80s and high 80s all week long. So finally, but last year at this time, we'd had, we were in the 90s in June last year. So, and now, we've had so much rain, which we never get. And we never get this kind of rain here on the high desert. It's the desert, so we don't get that. And plus, we usually have more heat by now. And I don't know. It's like it's the valley weather or something over in the Portland area. It's weird, and I don't understand it. So anyway, some of my stuff is growing really well. Some of it is just like, I don't recognize this. Should I be growing yet? So that's where I'm at. Nothing is going like it's supposed to. And other things are growing fine. So I don't know. We'll see. Thanks for watching. And have a great day. And if you've got today off, well, cool. Do something wonderful. Go plant something. You can always do that. And maybe you'll have better luck than I will. So anyway, we'll talk again Thursday. And for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.